you so much, guys. Before I go ahead and start the demo, I just wanted to show you guys a quick web page. Small introduction. My name is Vaibhav. I am one of the co-founders here at Redacto. Do let me know if you're able to see a screen on the which says
Very
dpdpa.info.
much, very much.
Brilliant. Um, Sir, what I would really urge you to do is, I'll be very happy in case if anybody has any questions, they could just go ahead and, just raise out their hands and we can take this forward. Before I present the whole thing, I just want to introduce to you quickly my team. We are three of us as co-founders. I take care of everything right from sales, business development, everything non-tech and client facing. I have two other co-founders, a gentleman called Amit Kumar Seni. He's been a CTO all his life. So he's ex-Microsoft, ex-Google. He was the head of engineering at Ola Money. So if you have used the Ola Money app anytime after 2014, it was his one of his KRAs that he delivered. Post that, he was the head of payments at GrabPay in Singapore. Now, this is where he dealt with the PDPA, which is very similar to the DPDPA firsthand. After that, he had a startup in Singapore, which was largely to do with BNPL payments. But unlike what we had in India, where you could actually, in Singapore with his startup, you could actually go ahead and do a buy now, pay later payment on an offline store, a physical store. You could walk in and do a BNPL payment. He got acquired and he moved back to India, which is when I met him. We were looking to solve the next big problem. And we realized with the whole DPDPA regulation being passed, we did go through it and realize that this is going to be a tech problem and not a legal one to solve for. We decided to build it there. Uh, Followed by, we met up with our third co-founder, a gentleman called Shashank Karincheti, who has been a CISO and a DPO all his life. When I met him, he was a part of the Razorpay team managing all operations of the CISO and the DPO office for India, Singapore, and Malaysia. Prior to that, for about almost 15 years, he has been in Europe, helping European companies become GDPR compliant with employers like Deloitte, EY, Baker Tilly, etc. The three of us have come together to create Redacto, which is India's first DPDPA DPDPA compliance ready tool, which can help you your organization not just for DPDPA but other aspects as well. If you're able to see my screen, this will give you a quick overall offering of what we provide at Redacto. Beginning with the first layer, that's the DPDPA gap assessment but technical workshop. What we have actually gone ahead and done is we've automated the creation of ROPA and the data privacy impact assessment for enterprises through the automated AI tooling. Now, once you have done your DPIAs and created your ROPAs, it becomes fairly simpler to be able to do your gap assessments as well. Currently, we also have partnerships with the likes of EY, Deloitte, BDO, and a bunch of other consulting firms who can offer you the gap assessment if you're looking for someone of that flavor as well. Once the gap assessment is complete, we run a deep dive technical workshop with all the stakeholders at an enterprise to ensure that the gaps are clearly understood. And this becomes the first step towards creating your enterprise level framework, SOPs, and policies to become DPDP compliant. Once this is done, if you look at the diagram that is continuously moving, it is actually nothing but the personal data lifecycle within an enterprise. Now, first stage is where data enters, which is where to be compliant to DPDPA, you need to have a consent management platform that you need to use, which is where notices are collected and consents are managed through. Very excited to inform to you that we've ranked in the top three rankings in METI for the Code for Consent BRD that was launched last year. There were about 70 participants who participated in the competition, and we were in the top three there. This consent management platform, I'll show you a full-fledged actual demo of the platform. Second step is that of data discovery. Now, once I collect the consent, for me to be able to apply the consent effectively, I need to know where the data lives. Hence, we're working on creating a data discovery tool, which is currently in its pilot stage with one design partner, where we scan and discover all your sensitive data types not just the PII, but any other sensitive data type that could be crucial for your business. And we classify it, tag it, creating a lineage and a data flow diagram visual representation. So now when you have collected consent, you know exactly where to apply it. Going forward is the continuous ongoing compliance, for which you need to run regular assessments, for which again you need a creation of the ROPA or the processing register, and to be able to automatically scan through all of these ROPAs to get a privacy impact assessment, which is our third module. The next module, which is share, which is any business and every business is heavily dependent on data processors as a part of their third party vendor ecosystem. Now, if you look at the DPDP regulation, it categorically calls out that even if there is a privacy breach by a data processor, it's going to be the fiduciary who's going to be responsible for it. So no longer can you just onboard third-party vendors and data processors utilizing the same Excel sheets and to and fro's. It's a very long drawn process, very cumbersome. What you can do with our third-party vendor risk management system is go ahead and on automate the onboarding, risk assessment, and continuous monitoring of your third-party vendors, where we not only do the regular infosec setups that you do, but we also improve multi-regulatory compliances. Plus, we do attack surface risk monitoring. We do deep dive in the financial background verification of your vendors as well, and create a expiry orchestration, right? By the means of which, if any documentation or reports or certifications of your vendors have expired, you can create expiry orchestrators to be able to notify you. Say, for example, if your vendor is about to have an expired SOC 2 report, SOC 2 type 2, you can create a nudge T minus 90, which will actually go ahead and create a nudge into your Jira by opening up a ticket as well with a centralized risk register and action center, which I'll show you all. It won't just be theory. We've also created a trust center, which becomes a single source of truth for all your InfoSec policies, data governance policies, all in one place, which makes it easier for not just internal but external stakeholders to also be able to get responses to critical aspects of your data policy and security practices and postures. I'm just going to take a quick break till step number 4. Would love to know in case if anybody has any specific questions around this so that we are clear on the offering before we jump into the demo.
Vaibhav, Ramesh
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Interesting, first of all. Thank you very much. Now, when you say that we are performing the gap analysis to start with, correct? That's what you said.
Correct.
Now, what is that input, that entire law at this stage, all that mandatory requirements you have put, and then you are checking yes, no, where we are implemented or we are not started or something like that? Or will you be showing me that screen for me to get an understanding?
So the gap assessment screens I will not be showing today. What
Okay,
I wanted to start showing today was number one, our entire consent management platform,
fair enough.
which includes DSAR automations, grievance redressals, and even, how we can make sure that any organization who adopts our consent management system platform can make the most of collection application of consent. That's number one. Number two, I will show you a quick video of what we are designing on our data discovery module for an unstructured S3 bucket, for unstructured data in an S3 bucket. Following that, I will love to show you my vendor risk management platform along with the trust center and the respond part, which is the whole DSAR automation, right? Now, this basically allows me to cover the most critical parts of getting DPDP compliant as on today, right? Because the regulator, including the DP Board of India, would assume or would prefer to have organizations map their data inventories, etc. So what becomes very critical is the incoming consents from data principals of any business and the external ecosystem of vendors, which makes it very difficult and a blind spot because the liability lies with the fiduciary or the enterprise. Hope that context is helpful.
Done. Thank you. Because you started with this tool, so and hence it was the question. Fair enough. You please go ahead. Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much, Ramesh. And now I'm going to quickly jump into my screen. I hope you can now see a Redacto dashboard screen.
Yeah.
All right. So like we saw in the diagram, I'm going to start with consent management. right? Now, consent management actually begins with creation of a notice for collection of the consents from the end customers. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to show you one of the how a notice gets created and how am I WCAG compliant, etc. right away, right? So once I create a new notice, let's assume the notice is onboarding, right? The compliance requirements. Now, again, this platform that we have built is AI agentic in nature. The agents are treated or rather trained to the regulatory framework, and hence for us, the regulatory framework capability becomes a plug and play into the module, which allows you to take care of geographies where your business may be extending and the relevant rules applicable there. So for India, I'm going to select DPDP Act. Let's assume my product is demo and my collection points are website, mobile app, purchase checkout, and maybe even user onboarding. Now, these are the points where I'm going to collect the consent from or interact with the data principal. Once I do this, as the DPDP Act categorically calls out that you can no longer take a blanket um, consent, right? By just clicking on I agree on terms and conditions or privacy policy. We've actually broken this down into being very purpose specific. So let's assume for onboarding of a customer, or I need to go ahead and my purpose is to do the KYC. The purpose is identity verification. My say credit assessment, and maybe marketing and promotions. Now, if you look at it, these are some standard purposes that are come available as defined on the platform itself. Having said that, in case if you feel that a certain purpose is missing from the standard offerings, you can create your own purpose name, create a description, you can add your data elements that are made available, along with what validity of the purpose and what happens at the time of validity. In case I'm just going to go ahead and expand on what happens here. So if you look at it from a credit assessment perspective, I need this data elements of credit score, bank account details, transaction history, credit score, bank account. So let's assume I'm making bank account details as a mandatory data element. I can define the validity right here. I can also define what happens upon validity. Do I want to notify the data principal and disable the particular purpose, or do I want to request a renewal and get a reconsent done? Now, with the N8N like automation that we have built within the tool, we add 7,000 plus connectors which go into various applications where now from which this will be front-ended. It is very easy to do the downward application and actions on each of these purposes and data elements specifically to the expiry related nature. I'm going to go ahead and click on save and next for this. What I'm going to now see is how the consent will look within the assets of the enterprise, completely customizable. I'm just going to go ahead and add a logo to this, right? So I can add the company logo, I can choose the font family, etc. I'm going to just put in the privacy policy here. Now, if you look at it, my default language is English. But as far as the regulation is concerned, it expects you to support all 22 languages. So now we support all 22 languages, and with the interest of the diverse set of people that are available on the call, can we call out any other popular language outside of English and Hindi that I can showcase to you the speech to text quality also, which comes in from an accessibility point of view. Now, anybody, Kondaraman sir or Ramesh sir, anybody, if you all can choose a language that you all would like to.
I think Hindi will do because many of them, right, are Kannada. We being in Bangalore.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Uh, Now, the actual notice text for what the privacy notice is going to be comes in here. We are supporting rich text as well. Now, confirm buttons, decline, all of that can be changed. This is just a preview, and I'm going to go ahead and click on save and next. Once I do this, what I get is a configuration
Wow.
summary. We get a configuration summary of this particular privacy notice where it calls out what is the name of the notice, what are the collection points, what are the product offerings, compliance requirement, and various purposes. Now, when I save this, what it was going to do, my AI agentic flow is going to start now translating all of this into the languages that have been selected. Now, also from a regulation perspective, if you recall, the guideline also wants immutable logs, which means a notice which is once published should not be deleted. There is going to be a unique configuration ID that will be created for every versioning of the notice. So therefore, that there is going to be a complete trail of this. Hence, if you look at it, if I show you a published notice, which is here, right, onboarding of Indify, if I show you this particular notice, I'm unable to delete it because this notice has been published, right? On the same lines, I'll be still able to delete this because I haven't published or this is still translating. Right now it's come in the draft stage. So I have still the power to delete this notice because it's not yet published right now. Now, if I also want to do, I can view what it will look like and let me show you the translations bit, right? Sometimes when a computer or when a machine will do a translation, it could do a literal translation, which may or may not colloquially fit into the requirements of the lay of the land, right? So we still have the opportunity to go ahead and edit this right here and also listen to the audio of the particular translation. So you can rectify it in case if it is not adjusted colloquially. Now, once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and publish the notice. Now, this is going to be a two-part demo. So please bear with me because it gets a little confusing when I move from the data principal screens to the data fiduciary screens also. What we are seeing right now is the data fiduciary screens or the enterprise screens. So if you look at it, I have just published this particular consent, right? Now, before I move on to the actual demo of this, I would also like to show you once the yeah. So once all of this is done, we also have created relevant 7,000 plus connectors for different SaaS tools to get this thing plugged into, where you can create the API integrations right here. There are various kind of dashboards available, again, completely customizable to the enterprise requirements from a reporting standpoint, not just to DP Board of India, but also to its internal, external stakeholders, board meetings, etc. There are also you can create your own keys over here for integrations and API handshakes that happen, right? And the most beautiful part is this bit of campaigns, right? Uh, I wish I had the time to show you the entire campaign flow, but if anybody's interested, do reach out to me. The biggest challenge from a DPDP compliance is not going to be when you have reached the status of compliance and to go forward. The biggest challenge is to collect legacy consent. From a legacy consent perspective, we've also created a campaign mechanism where through email, SMS, WhatsApp, IVR, phone calls, you can go ahead and collect consents from your legacy customers as well. All you have to do is just upload an Excel sheet and with the relevant details and everything gets taken care of automatically. And it is all near real time, which I'm going to show you right away, right? Happy to take any questions if there are so far. Super. Since there's nothing, I'm going to move on. I'm going to show you what it will look like. I believe you all be able to see a demo app on your screen, the black page with a touch of class as the subject line. Ramesh, sir, is the new screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Super.
Yeah, it is
Yes,
visible.
yes, very much.
Great.
Yeah.
So let's assume I am now a data principal. Okay, I come in and this could be say any website of any business, and I want to go ahead and register here. So I'm going to register here as Vaibhav plus 25 Feb. Right. Now the I just create right here. It's now, this is where the privacy notice text would come in. These are the data elements for which I'm going to provide consent. I can choose English, I can choose Kannada, I can choose Hindi as well. And this is from a 22 languages support, and from a WCAG accessibility compliance, I'd like to just showcase to you. Let me know if you're able to hear this.
ಗೌಪ್ಯತೆ ಸೂಚನೆ
ನಿಮ್ಮ ಅನುಭವವನ್ನು ವೈಯಕ್ತೀಕರಿಸಲು ನಾವು ಡೇಟಾವನ್ನು ಬಳಸುತ್ತೇವೆ. ನೀವು ಹಂಚಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದನ್ನು ನೀವು ನಿಯಂತ್ರಿಸು.
Brilliant. So we've done this now. Now, if I move ahead and start giving consents. For example, if I do not give consent for a mandatory data element, I will not be able to move forward. So this way, enterprises can protect themselves and make sure that they at least get consent for the clear reason of engagement with the data principle. Now, once I've given consent, now I am inside the asset of the enterprise and I can go about doing whatever I need to do. I'm going to now take you to the enterprise view, right? Now I'm going to show you, yes, Srivatsa.
Yeah, sorry, Vaibhav, to break your flow. But I would like to understand what is the idea behind providing an option of selecting the languages over here, over selecting all 22 languages.
Great question, Shivatsa. So what happened was, now the DPDPA Act mandates that you should support all 22 languages, and which we do. Some of our clients who we've spoken to, large real estate firms who are operating only in tier one cities, did not want to show the consent in all languages. That's number one. It should be a free, selectable from a perspective. Like, for example, if I had to geotag it and lock it, I am a migrant laborer in Bangalore, in Karnataka, right? My roots are from Bombay and Maharashtra. Kannada is not my first language. I may not know the language, and hence I cannot mandate uh, the language support in Kannada in for the consent collection, right? And hence the solution, the option is available. People, depending upon their requirements, are free to choose or put up all of the languages at one go. I hope that answers your question.
To an extent, but my view here is that since this is a compliance-related requirement, uh, irrespective of whether the where the company is operating or who is the audience over here, I think the option should have been to provide all 22 language support. At least
No,
that's my view.
the option is to, from a live production standpoint, when enterprise enable it, they still have the option to go with all 22. Now, from a demo perspective, I'm only choosing a few languages so y'all get to see the capability of the platform. Again, we are a tool and we do not recommend anything other than best practices to the enterprise, but this solely remains the enterprise's decision to implement it and a part of their policy framework,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Super. Now moving on to this, we just provided a
I
consent.
I think the method adopted is proper. I think we need not, because first of all we should not give such huge choices, because when we are already in the private regime, if you may enable everything to every language, every fellow who is not really has any local standard for that particular issue, it may create unnecessary problems also. I think your approach is very much clear and within the purview of the law, and more so it supports the law. That's what I feel.
Sure, Subarayadu sir.
Yeah, yeah, one question. See, what if the enterprise is using a consent manager? What happens? How do you configure your Redacto in that case where uh, the a lot of the artifacts and all these things might be corrected by the consent manager, right?
So, Subarayadu sir, we ranked top three in the METI rankings from a consent management platform perspective. So
Okay,
we are in line to get the licenses for becoming a
okay,
consent management platform. And I just wanted to also introduce a small aspect of the whole consent management as an offering, right? What we
mhm,
believe is that consent management is two-part solution. A CMP, which is a consent management platform, and a CMS, a consent management software. A CMP will help you managing the entire life cycle, which is front-ending the data principle. But as a fiduciary, you need a CMS for downward integration of all of the consent data actually collected into various connectors, etc., which is what we've also built. I hope that answers your question.
uh, to some extent, but there's also a scenario that the enterprise is using a different consent manager other than Redact, right?
Okay.
That possibility is there, correct? So in that case, um, uh, how would things change in that case? Let's say I've deployed Redacto and whatever other consents and all those actions that are happening through my website directly, for that I might have deployed Redacto. Would Redacto be able to pull in the transactions that have happened on the other consent managers platform and show unified view of all consents to the enterprise?
Within the same enterprise, you're saying
Yeah,
that
within the same enterprise,
so
within the
you're
same
saying
enterprise.
that an enterprise could deploy a different consent manager for mobile and a different consent manager for web as a channel?
Uh, that could be one situation, but let us say for some reason, for commercial reasons, whatever. Sorry, we got a bad throat. Yeah, if the enterprise goes with a different consent manager, uh, not your own, correct? Would it kind of create some kind of complications for them, or you have something inbuilt there itself, in the sense that you're setting the user free, that you're not locking in the user to use your own consent manager, but you're giving them free. You can go anywhere. It doesn't matter where you go to, but you'll still get a unified view of all consents, those collected directly to the website. What, what, what they've been showing here, plus perhaps consent collected from some other third-party consent manager, non-redactive consent manager as well.
No, so largely, Subbaidu sir, generally any enterprise will not have more than one consent manager platform. Even if they
That's true.
do, even if they do, there's one going to be primary and the other one's going to be the secondary backup, right?
Mhm.
So think of this like inside a bank's ecosystem, where core banking is
Mhm.
the ultimate source of truth. There is a
Yeah.
base 24 switch sitting in the middle, which actually
Mhm.
is talking to the ATM channel, to the web, to the mobile banking, internet banking, prepaid, financial inclusion programs, etc. All of it. Vaibhav Sharma
Okay.
as a portfolio is recorded by a unique customer identification ID in the core banking system, right? So at the end of the day, the base 24 system reconciles the truth of it all and publishes it into the base 24. This is the exact capability any multiple platforms can allow. We are a tech first company. We'll be super happy to build a reconciliation mechanism, which we've already built in for consents coming from various channels. So I could be
Okay.
integrated into mobile, web, IVR, physical. There's a
Okay.
digital journey also that we have designed. So I'm
Okay.
consolidating the identity of the data principle throughout, reconciling it and publishing it to the enterprise as one single source of truth. I can do this with another consent management platform. It's just about relaying the information and doing a day-end reconciliation against it.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thanks. Thanks.
Right. Uh, yeah. So once this is done, now if you guys can take a look at the screen, you will see that Weber plus 25 Feb at redactor.ai is a consent that I just granted, right? This is the view of the data principle. They'll be actually be able to see an entire log, entire record, which is showcasing all of the purposes for which I gave a consent. When was it given? When is it valid until? What are the data elements collected? What was the source of the notice, and also the channel has been called out categorically. Now, this is immediately creating an immutable log. Let me show you the log that also gets generated. Sorry. Right, if you look at this 8 minutes ago, a consent event was granted. There's the email ID who's the actor, the target consent event, description, and even IP numbers are captured in this from a right-away perspective. Now I'm going to take you back to the world of the data principal, who is the center of it all. And as a data principal, I want to go ahead and now exercise my data subject access rights. So I'm going to quickly request an OTP. Now, mind you, this step may or may not be needed because the data principal will be coming and verifying himself through the asset of the data fiduciary right away, right? So now coming back, as a data principal. This is what I see. All the purposes for which product, with what statuses have I given consent, when did I give it, when is it valid until, and what is the method of collection, and I can also modify it right away. Additionally, I also am able to see an entire activity tracker with a timestamp for an audit trail perspective, and the grievance addressal mechanism comes in right here. Now, to avoid multiple hops, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go to my consent manager and withdraw my consent for marketing and promotions. Right now, I've gone ahead and withdrawn it. The subsequent workflows could be customized to the enterprise's requirement in case if they need a maker checker function, etc. Right now, I'm also going to go ahead and go to my grievance and create a new request. Let's say correction. Right. I'm going to say address. My current value is Bangalore. I'm going to update this to Mumbai. All of these workflows, again, optional and completely customizable to all the checks and balances that an enterprise may want to place. I confirm that I'm authorized to raise this request. I submit. And now if you look, a case ID has been created. So what I've done is in my DSAR automation bit, I've also created a case management system so that enterprises don't have to now rely and integrate into any other ticketing management system and further spread data, right? From the consent management tool, the ticketing tool, etc. So now I'm going to take you back to the home page. So if you look at it in my grievance screen, case number 47 for a correction has been initiated. I can view it to check what was the purpose of the change, etc. And in my activity tracker also, I've created a case and I have withdrawn my consent. Now, this is the data principles view. Now I'm going to bring you back to the data fiduciaries view. I've created a rights management with a request queue right away. Yes, Murugan, sir.
See, Vaibhav, can you able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
This platform, what you are, it is both accessible by the data principal and fiduciary, both, correct?
Not the same principle. For a DSAR automation, I've created an SDK which gets embedded in the enterprise's assets. So from there, the client can enter the enterprise level sees the enterprise screens and the data principal sees the DSAR screens only.
Okay, it's in the same, in the portal, both of them will be logging in.
No, they don't need to necessarily do a portal, Murugan sir. If it was an app, it's an SDK. It could be inside the app also.
Okay.
Okay. Today, a consumer from an IVR flow can pick up and call the customer service number and go through the IVR flow also and get the same information, but
So
in an
this is a
audio
SaaS
record.
model. This is in the SaaS model of your cloud.
I do SaaS and on-prem also.
Okay, for two different enterprises, you will have a different tenant, correct?
Absolutely.
And you don't store any data within your cloud, or
No, I only store consent data. So, like for example, if Murugan sir, you give me consent to send you marketing promotions on your mobile number, I'll store the consent value, not your mobile number, if that is your question.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah? Brilliant. So now if you look at it, a case number 47 has just been created right away, which talks, if I go into it, I can actually see what is the reason of the case coming up. And I can basically review the request, put my notes, remarks, assign it to somebody with my team for whatever workflows that we manage, right? So currently it's unassigned. I'm just going to unassign it to one engineer in my team. It is now assigned and initiated. So now what will happen is now I'm going to take you back again to the consent bit, right? If you remember, I had shown you this, sorry, the consent that I had just collected from Vaibhav plus 25 Feb, right? I had revoked the marketing consent and it is now withdrawn right away. Yes, sir.
If I just a small question, if I saw you raising a suffixes request through a link called
Raidu sir,
GN.
your voice is coming through very patchy. We can barely hear you.
Uh, okay. I don't know
Yeah, it's
what to do.
better
Maybe
now. It's better
yeah,
now. Can you ask your
yeah,
question?
yeah. What if I saw you correctly? You raising a subject takes this request under a link that is titled grievance. Right.
Okay.
That seemed to be an anomaly because as far as the DPDP is concerned, uh, the subject access request has got to be handled differently, and grievance has got to be handled differently. Right. So why is it? Just curious, why did you do that? Maybe it's
No, I think
something
it's
small,
just a
maybe.
nomenclature thing. So see, that is a
Okay,
script
yeah,
that
correct.
we decided to do it as a grievance redressal
Okay.
mechanism. Because
Hmm.
largely what will happen is from what we've understood in speaking to enterprises, especially regulated entities, it's going to be sitting at the end of the nodal officer before the DPO becomes fully active and the role becomes clear. It's going to be a sub function of the customer success or customer support
Hmm.
operations itself. So we just wanted to keep a name, but the tags again are customizable to an enterprise's requirement. So if you want to call it something else, we'll call it something else, right?
Yeah, no, it's not a question of what I call, because the DPDP Act itself contemplates grievance redressal as a separate mechanism, and subject access request, access right, exercising access rights is a separate uh,
No,
process.
you're right. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right on that front. But see, again, the DPDP Act is for the data principle. Now, for a data principle's perspective, who may not know the DPDP law with the technical terms, for him raising a grievance or a redressal or a complaint request just resonates with that word. So that no other reason behind it.
No, but it's while I agree to the minor one, maybe it's a nomenclature issue, you could address it later. But from a company's own compliance point of view, the grievance will follow a different path, and access request has to follow a different path. And maybe large companies might have different role plays for both. A grievance officer could be different, and a DPO could be different as well. All right.
No,
So that,
absolutely. That's going to be
yeah,
the case. And that is why, like
yeah,
I said, this whatever we provide as a platform is super malleable to not just workflows, but cosmetics also to what a client
yeah,
wants.
yeah. Okay. Correct.
So if somebody
It was a
wants to
minor
call it,
one, but nevertheless,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, feedback taken.
Thanks.
Feedback
Yeah.
taken. Murugan sir, you were also asking something.
No, you answered my part actually.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So thank you. So if you see in near real time, this consent has reflected right away. And if I now take you to the screen of the data principal, he has now gotten an update that his his request is now from initiated to progress, right? Now we've actually gone ahead and created the entire 7,000 plus connectors, N8N workflows for downward integration. So you don't have to worry about the end-to-end application of this. That's number one. Number two, we are also doing a phygital journey. Let me just show you that as well. So from a compliance perspective, this is the old way of collecting consent. We've now made it as per DPDP requirements, which is purpose specific, granular, explicit, freely given, unconditional. Also, there are certain additional workflows that we have created specifically around the phygital journeys. Yeah. So what happens is in a lot of enterprises, a data principal will walk in as an inquiry. He may not become a customer, but he will probably share his data. So from an application form perspective, we can create unique QR codes which marry the application ID, scans the forms to extract all of the consent, converts that into a digital consent and sends it across on the registered mobile number or email address of the data principal to collect the consent, right? Similarly, we've also built um, one very big use case where relationship managers or field executives go out on the field to verify or sell a product for which consent is needed. And at the time of the sale, the relationship manager just would plot all consents as provided. And this is where we are actually creating a magic link which gets shared with the client on his registered or a data principal on his registered mobile number, email address, valid for about 24 to 48 hours, to which they can provide consent and it gets uh, tagged on to the end repository on the Redacto platform available to the enterprise. Now, with this, I'd like to conclude the demo for the consent management platform before moving on to the third-party vendor risk management piece. Extremely excited to take questions and see if I could answer them. If there's any feedback, happy to kind of include that and share it with my product team as well.
So as a part of this demo, you showed that the data principal was seeing that his ticket was in the progress state. So I just wanted to understand what happens when it is complete and what kind of information he will get as an
Uh,
acknowledgement or.
Srivatsa sir, so basically that again, see, what I've shown you is the skeleton flow, right? Now, sometimes when you actually reach out to a customer support and you raise something, you get an SMS informing you of your ticket number, etc., and all of that. All of those connectors are enabled in it. So you can then send okay, we received a case number so and so. It is at this stage. It is progressed from initiated to in progress to rejected, approved, closed, etc. All of those are the cosmetic aspects of the communications of the each stages, which can be enabled through the tool. This is just a bare minimum, bare skeleton that I wanted to show you. The consumption is completely up to the enterprise decisions.
At least the basic infrastructure is in place, is what you're saying. So
Yes, yes. So
detailing can be added as per the needs of individual
absolutely,
enterprises. Yeah, whether
absolutely.
it's an SMS acknowledgement or an email acknowledgement or just
Or
a
even a WhatsApp, if you want to
website.
place
Yeah.
yeah, even if you want to place an outbound call, also we have that in place.
Okay. All right.
Right?
Thanks.
Yes, Jayesh.
So at the beginning of this presentation, you mentioned that you start with the assessment. So just want to understand, is this a automated process or you need some experts to be there on the site? How it exactly works?
So we do need experts on the site to do this. The automation, again, is to a certain extent, but a large part of the gap assessment currently from a policy standpoint, etc., and eyeballing needs to be done by personnel because again, we are all the regulation is fairly new. We are all learning about it. So as we progress with understanding the different nuances and the edge cases that come in, the automations will step in.
Okay. Second question I want to ask is about the data discovery. I think that is very important part from the DPDPA point of view. You said that you are in the development process. So any tentative date by when or any tentative timeline by when it will be ready on your platform?
Yes, Jayesh. In fact, while I give you a timeline, let me also showcase to you what it will look like. Do let me know if you're able to see a screen which says start demo.
Yes, yes.
Right? So this demo is for discovery of unstructured data elements across your S3 buckets. You simply connect a new storage, select the type of data, provide your credentials. And once you have gone ahead and collected it, what we also do is help you schedule scans in your ecosystem. Because what is going to happen is data is going to grow incrementally, exponentially in your systems, right? And you may need to do regular scans, maybe once a week, twice a week, maybe once every day, right? So you can set up the frequency, set up the timing. And once you have automated the scans, the next step becomes the assignment of the owners of those DB so that you have somebody responsible to take action in case if anything is amiss. Once I do this, I start creating three create pipelines. The first pipeline is where I create the metadata of the pipeline of the data that is available. We do not touch the production DB for the sake of not hampering your latency on the system, followed by creating a sampling pipeline. So we start assessing the metadata and understanding how the data is structured and stored in it across the across your DBs, right? Across the S3 bucket. This is where we will actually analyze and realize how much percentage, what percentage of the pipeline do I need to scan to get a 98%, 99% accurate picture of how the data is stored. Basis which we create the finalizing pipeline, which is where the data gets classified, tagged, and a DFD and a lineage diagram gets created, right? Yes, Jayesh Murga.
So this is about the unstructured data. How about the structured data?
Jayesh, we are doing structured, unstructured data across DB type, 80 plus DB types, S3 buckets, AWS S3 buckets, GCP, apna Azure environments as well, and also inboxes. We don't do DLP, and we will also not be doing DLP. It's a conscious decision because there are a lot of tools available which we can integrate with from a DLP standpoint.
That is perfect. That is a obvious thing. Uh, on boxes, does it means that on premise?
So, Jayesh, data discovery is only going to be on-prem. It's not going to be something which is going to be on a SaaS module.
No, no, I'm talking about, so just you said that it will be discovering from the uh, S3 buckets and all those things, right? Object storage and all those things. So I just want to understand that whether it will discover the data from the on-premise infra also.
Yes, yes. You mean if you have your own local servers, right?
Correct, correct, right.
Yeah. All of those get connected. So whatever 80 plus DB technologies can be connected, your MongoDB servers, SQL, all of that gets connected.
Okay, okay. Thank you for the answer.
Yeah.
Vaibhav,
Yes,
Vaibhav,
Mr.
a continuation of Jayesh. See, I have a challenge in my organization where the desktop also need to be scanned because my desktops are there for the past 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure what are all the privacy data residing on the desktops.
Correct, sir. So, Murugan, sir, you need a DLP tool to do this. And from a data discovery point, we are not bringing, we are an endpoint. We are not building endpoint data discovery.
Only server. You touch only the server of the on-prem.
Yes, servers and inboxes. Because Murugan, sir, like you have desktops in your machine, in your organization, right? Largely, all organizations are now working on laptops. So, getting them to plug into the infrastructure um, with a discipline once every week or twice every week is a little difficult to get done. Just one moment, guys. Just one moment, please. Sorry, sir. Go ahead. Raidu, sir, you were saying something?
I was just asking, where are you defining what constitutes personal data? Is there some master where you define for US, for example, social security number, with their India, maybe Aadhaar number, and or is it India specific as of now? While
So
doing data discovery, yeah,
it's India specific, and
okay,
two, we one of the inputs that is very critically needed is your data dictionary.
okay, okay. So there you're defining what constitutes PII and is for the Indian context, and that's what this data discovery searches for. Huh?
Yeah, and we also allow our enterprise clients to define what they would call their sensitive data types.
Okay, okay,
Right? Like for some NBFCs, they do underwriting on an average bank balance. So an average bank balance, which is not a PII, but is a sensitive data type, right?
okay, okay.
And yes, Tejas.
Vaibhav, you just mentioned that your tool currently doesn't or is not designed to capture the PII of the desktops, and that should be managed by DLP. But how will we do that with the DLP?
I mean, there are endpoint solution tools, no, that you have. There are a lot of tools which run as encryption mechanisms on your local machines to discover and report back when connected to network.
You mean to say those tools also help you identify the PII, if any, on the local devices, is it?
Yes, they'll help you.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody's pivoted Tejas to that front.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Everybody is?
No, everybody's pivoting now that the law is out, right? For a quick sell and an added additional attraction, data endpoint tools will and have probably pivoted towards identifying PII also.
Okay, fine.
Super. Right. So moving on. Now, once I've completed the scanning of the bucket, it will be available as a storage asset. You could see the S3 sample bucket right here. Once I expand it, I'll be able to see all the folder level tags. If I go into the folder, I'll be able to see file level tags as well. Now, what is missing from this particular click and wrap demo is the data flow diagrams and the lineage visual representation that comes out. Right. With this, we've completed 2 modules of consent management and data discovery. Happy to take any questions before moving into our third-party vendor management as well. Yes, Jayesh.
So, Vaibhav, the tentative timeline you were supposed to tell us about the data discovery.
Tentative timeline, it will mostly be before the first quarter of the next financial year. So
Okay.
April, May, by April, I'm expecting this to be ready for market.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Right. Great. So can we move on to the next module, which is a vendor wala bit?
Yes, of course, I guess.
Right. Great. So you guys can see my vendor screen right now.
Yes, yeah, we can.
Jayesh,
Yeah.
are you asking something?
No, nothing.
Understood. So see, the biggest challenge in manual onboarding is the lack of transparency into what are the vendors in my system, what are they doing, what are their documents, etc. How many of you guys are manually onboarding your vendors in your organization? I'm assuming everybody is largely doing this manual.
We are not, there are fellows who are doing nothing simply for the sake of learning and enjoying on there. So what I answer?
Right, sir.
Okay.
So from when we spoke to enterprises, right, the biggest challenge that they had was largely that today we are sending questionnaires to vendors, vendors will answer, somebody will review, have observations, ask for evidences, cross evidences, etc. And finally come at a score. This entire process can take as long as 4 to 6 weeks for not so critical vendors in not so big organizations, but the larger the organization, the more critical the vendor, it becomes very, very time consuming. And there are errors also. So some of our customers, we've actually caught vendors who have submitted qualified SOC reports as well. So what we have created here is number one, a vendor directory. So once you onboard, all the vendors that you have onboarded in your system are living in one place. They have a CIBIL score associated with it. The tiering is automated. The status of each vendor is visible, along with what product, who is the primary contact details right there. Let me show you what happens inside a vendor. So when I onboard this vendor, the first thing I do is collect a lot of documentation to onboard this vendor. Now, all this documentation now lives in my document library. Now, we have an AI agentic flow where these agents are trained across 16 regulatory frameworks, and they start assessing and parsing these documents. Basis which number one, expiry statuses, etc. are calculated, and we start understanding the risks associated with every vendor. Now, what will happen at the end of this exercise is that what you will get is a vendor summary at the time of onboarding, a status that the assessment is in progress, a company overview, a tentative score, and we publish a document health. Now, this effectively calls out what documents were needed to onboard this, what were made available, and out of those made available, how many of them were valid, right? Now, along with this, you also get a findings heat map and from an attack surface assessment bit, any recent news and incidents. Now, everybody does questionnaire-based setup, right? So we've also created our own questionnaires, but we can also import the questionnaires from an enterprise, set it up here. And what will populate is this particular screen, which is that of the risk register. What will happen is across all the domains, we will start populating risks right here with all the citations for each of these risks. You can actually, like for example, financial health, this was a high risk, right? And we tell you specific findings. What does it mean? What is the remediation and business impact for each of the risk is populated along with citations and CIA tagging also. Now, in the risk register, I also taken a point to highlight the strengths and celebrate the strengths of the vendor because sometimes you may not have a lot of options for onboarding. You may have to choose between the lesser of the two evils that you face, and you'll probably want to know their strengths as well. So the strengths kind of get populated right here. We also go ahead and get a listing of all the fourth party vendors. These are basically your vendors who I can get information about from the privacy policies, SOC reports, MSA agreements, etc. So now you also know who are your vendors as well. And most importantly, creation of the PII and ROPA that happens where I can actually create the PII type, collection method, processing purpose, and PII severity. Now, this gives you a clear checklist even during the time of offboarding. So now you have a very granular checklist before you offboard a vendor to make sure all migrations take place correctly. Once all of this is done, what you will see across the vendor risks, right? What you will see is number one, a centralized risk register. For all those people on the calls or today who are CISOs, right? All of this, they will be able to see all of their open risks across all the vendors in one single place. You can filter it as per risk level or vendor type or even department to address this. Now, let's assume I take this questionnaire. I can actually view the risk. I can create a case, assign it to the vendor for resolution with my comments, or assign it to somebody in my team to get this done. Similarly, for all documents that are about to near expiry, what you will be able to see is an action center. So if you look at it, uh, RBAC test SOC 2 report has expired. I need a new document. I can simply assign it to somebody in my team or someone at the vendor and get the task automated done. Now, there's a very deep dive financial due diligence also that happens for all the vendors across the dashboard. You can create your own custom questionnaires. And I'm going to quickly now show you a sample report that is
Sorry,
generated.
Vaibhav, 1 minute. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Vaibhav, this third-party management, it's nothing to do with the DPDPA, correct?
No, it has to do with DPDPA, no? Today, do you know what data points of your end customers are your data vendors processing?
That is subcontractor. So if the vendor is a
No, not subcontractor, not subcontractor.
No, sir, Murugan sir, there are entire responsibility of the processor lies with the fiduciary, no? Sorry, the with the
Correct. You're right.
correct. So if you're not monitoring your vendors, which are basically some of them, or maybe quite a few of them, may be processors, the liability will fall on you. So this will
if
be
they
very
are
much a part of DPDPA compliance.
if they are processing my privacy data, then I am as a fiduciary responsible. But if this vendor is a normal my service provider, okay, nothing to do with my touching of my data.
No. There's a universe of all vendors. Some of those vendors who process PII on your behalf will be part of will be subset of these vendors only, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Like for example, sir, if you are an insurance business, right? You need a payment gateway to collect premiums. That guy is going to process PII data, card data, PCI data also, right? So you will need to have assessment from him on him as well to know. So no longer can you depend upon the vendor submitting that I do this, I do this, I do this. but it is more about you find out and observations and ask for clarifications.
Is contractor document also is uploaded?
Yes, sir. You can create various. Let me just show you.
Because
So
when I do the due diligence of the contractor, I take responsibilities of their processes and everything. All those things is a contract document, we get it documented. Those can be uploaded and kept it for.
Absolutely, sir. So you can actually define for the onboarding what kind of documents do you need as mandatory. SOC, ISO, DPAs, Masters, MSAs, VAPT, PCI DSS, ISO certificate, contracts, disaster recovery. You can keep adding, right? We can also automate all the reminders sent to the vendor for filling the questionnaire, so you don't have to physically call up personally. Also, there may be certain custom attributes that you may want to collect. So you can select from some predefined custom attributes or create your own attribute as well. So
Thank you.
let's,
Thank you, Vaibhav. Go ahead. Go ahead. I got
right?
it.
Brilliant. So last thing that I wanted to show you was this report that gets generated from the system itself, right? So it basically gives you a score of the vendor, right? Again, the risk bands of what you call as critical, high, medium, and low is customizable and configurable according to the enterprise requirement. Somebody may call a 719 as medium, but somebody else may call it as a low risk, right? Depending upon the nature of business. So you can define all of those. Even the tiering and classification logic can be configured according to your organization setup. What we do is highlight the key strengths of the vendor, areas where attention is required, what is the decision rationale, followed by the entire audit scope and objectives. And this is my favorite section of the heat map, where I call out all the domains that I have examined, along with how many critical, high, low, medium risks have been identified. Now, this is just a heat map, but it is followed by a scoring calculation, followed by a 30, 60, 90-day plan with the relevant owners also tagged to the action items. Now, this report then follows up what are your top risks and citations to all of those control assessments in this report, right? And then it gives you like a conclusion, key decision factors. So this becomes a very easy mechanism for you to not only be able to stop spending time over mundane things or follow-ups and going through SOC reports, etc. Let the AI agentic do it, generate a report, and you take only decisions. So just wanted to show you that there are these dashboards again made available here, where you can see a list of all your vendors, how many on what classification level across databases. This is completely customizable. And when any questionnaire has been sent, yes, Raidu sir.
As far as your statement that you made that, the AI agent reading the SOC 2 report or something, right? The SOC 2 report, okay. You can only do it for those vendors who have submitted their SOC 2 report to you, but not for others further down the chain, right? Because these SOC 2 reports are confidential and you would not be able to read the SOC 2 report of a
Of course, I
somebody
will only
who is
assess.
not,
No, the tool will only
yeah,
assess the vendor that's getting onboarded here. Like if I have to take you back
yeah.
and show you from a all vendors list.
You're shown a hierarchy somewhere, right? The level 4 vendor, tier 4 vendor, something you're shown, no? The
No, no,
fourth
no.
fourth
So
party
the
vendors.
tiering is a
Fourth,
different thing. Like a
yeah.
critical IT vendor is tier one, and maybe a
Mhm.
DSA agency or a marketing agency would be tier three, right? So you can't assess them in the same lens. They have to have different
No,
treatment.
vendors, you had shown vendors of vendors somewhere.
Yeah, I'm showing you that only. I'm
Yeah,
bringing it. So this
yeah,
fourth party, right? So I have
yeah,
identified where have I detected the fourth party vendor,
yeah.
right?
So the fourth
Now,
party SOC 2 report will not be able to read.
of course not. And
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly.
but
Yeah.
but Subair I do, sir.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
one of our clients is doing this, right? You know what they do? When they find out
mm,
any fourth party vendor which is critical to their function, they onboard them
mm.
as a vendor and do the assessments and ask them to give reports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Razorpay is doing this.
Mm,
A lot of regulated entities are getting very, very strict with vendor onboardings and how are they managing it.
mm. Okay.
Like, sir, imagine you're using a ticketing platform, right? Or an
Mm,
analytics
mm,
platform.
mm,
And Google, it's hosted on, it's using Google Analytics APIs, right? Now, Google
mm,
Analytics has a agreement with your analytics tool stating that any data that is processed for any analytics on their platform belongs to them also, to Google also.
Yeah.
Your vendor is not going to sit and challenge that, and neither will Google listen to it. Correct? But imagine now this impact for you. Your customer data is with your vendor. Your vendor is saying that I have Google Analytics as a sub vendor, and this data is also now going to be with them. Right? So you have to then arrange your consent notifications, etc., accordingly, and calling out the list to be compliant and saying that, hey, I'm sharing your data in these platforms to fulfill the service, right? Or you ask him to move to someplace else, or you develop an analytics engine in-house, or you work with somebody else, like a, like a fractal analytics, for example, instead of a smaller analytics company to go ahead and do this, right?
Okay, good, interesting tool.
Right.
I think.
Super. So yeah, with this, I've actually come to the end of the session. Super happy to kind of get connected to each and every one of y'all. In case if y'all have any needs at your own organizations, or if you would like to refer us to someone, we'd be very happy to kind of get connected. Uh, Anybody, Kondaraman sir, Shivatsa sir, Jayesh, Yogesh sir, I haven't heard from you. In case if anybody has any feedback, comments or questions, happy to take them.
Vaibhav, by any chance, have you shared your coordinates on chat where we can reach out later on?
No,
And will you be?
I'll just do it right away. I'll just do it
Thank you
right
so
away.
much.
My number is on the chat.
And I'm sorry, I think joined the call 5-7 minutes after the scheduled time. So do you look after the product part from Redacto or something else?
So I'm one of the co-founders here,
Okay, great. Okay.
and I take care of everything that has to do with customer interactions.
Okay, and what's going to be your? I heard you saying that your product will be ready for the market by
No,
April
my product
2020.
is ready. It's only the data discovery module, which is something which is not in in a state where I can sell it right away.
Oh,
But
okay.
my consent management, we've ranked top 3 in the METI rankings. My TPRM solution, which you just saw, is being used by Razorpay, Pine Labs, Exotel, Indify, Oxizo, you name it, they're using it right now. Even I've just completed a successful POC with Karnataka Bank and with Shriram Finance also. I'm just waiting for the financial year ending to complete and thereafter come back with the next steps on onboarding, right? So my TPRM is live. I've also created a breach notification as a separate module, which plugs into your SIM tool and automates the entire processes that are 7 steps involved to, inform and intimate the Data Privacy Board of India and the affected data principals in case of a breach. So that's ready. Consent management, like you've seen, is ready. DSR automation is done. PII and ROPA is done. Now for your enterprise level, TPRM Trust Center. Trust Center is another beautiful tool which I would love to show people in case if they are interested, where you can automate InfoSec questionnaire, Q&A answering, or even RFP answer. Pine Labs is a customer who uses our Trust Center to attempt RFPs, and they're able to resolve 1,200 questions in about 8 minutes with citations. Right?
And what's going to be your uh, the sales and the support model? Is it direct or through partners?
Well, Tejas, I have both, right? Super happy to do a direct sale to you. Support is ultimately going to be provided by us, but we have consulting partners and system integrator partners for larger organizations where you may need to do some amount of heavy lifting on the integration for legacy systems.
Okay, thank you so much.
Vaibhav, how about the pricing? Is it the transaction based or the?
Murugan sir, beautiful question. I was hoping that you'd ask. We didn't do a transaction-based pricing. I've kept a flat pricing because transaction pricing gets super, super expensive. And as if the fear of fines was not enough, that somebody should come in and extort money. So we are on a flat pricing, depending upon the number of data principals that you onboard from the consent side, number of vendors that you onboard on the TPRM side, and it's a fixed cost where you can do unlimited number of transactions.
Thank you. We'll keep in touch.
Absolutely, sir. Srivatsa, sir, you're saying something.
Yeah, Vaibhav, thanks for your presentation. It was one of the widely covered aspects that we have seen from the DPDPA point of view so far. My question is with respect to how you are what I understood from the whole presentation is the coverage is very good, and you seem to be targeting mid and large enterprise clients over here. I want to understand the perspective of very small clients, like a small doctor who is having a clinic and processing a patient data, or even a individual who might be doing a personal PII data of his clients.
No, Srivastava sir, thank you so much for that question. I actually explicitly wanted to call this out that we are a made in India company because we wanted to, solve the privacy problem in Bharat first, which starts from a regulatory standpoint, focusing largely on significant data fiduciaries, right? So we built this enterprise model, but as a part of our roadmap, there are a lot of things that we will be doing as a sachet product where small businesses can adopt it as well.
Very good to know, Vaibhav. Thank you.
Yeah. Jai sir.
Great comprehensive tool, Vaibhav sir. Just one last question.
Yes.
Is there anything in this which will handle minors' data consent given?
My consent management has the minor flow already integrated to the Aadhaar pipelines at the back end with partners where I can send the consent collection of the minor to the guardian or the parent directly. So I just
Oh,
didn't
wow.
want to kind of showcase that flow
It's
because
okay. I guess
it's just one
I think I
hop.
got the answer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, Jai sir.
Yeah. So thank you for this presentation. It was very nice. We are already in touch with your organization. I'm communicating with Sashank. And just one thing, can you please summarize how or what kind of DPDPA pain points your software will address?
Sure. And Jesh, can I get your name of the organization?
Sigma Byte.
Sigma Byte.
Yeah.
Sure. So from a DPDPA perspective, Jayesh, just to summarize this, three participants in the DPDPA ecosystem: data principal, data fiduciary, and data processor. From a data fiduciary and a data principal relationship perspective, collection of granular consent, which is purpose specific and withdrawable, is very important. Along with this, breach notifications and data subject access rights automation is very important. And all of this has to be supported in 22 languages and has to be WCAG compliant, is what we fulfill from the relationship between the data principal and the fiduciary. The DPDPA Act creates a very big dependency on ensuring that your data processors are always towing the line of your commitment to the data principal. So we've actually bought into this, the egress monitoring aspect, which also takes into account. Let me just pull up this one diagram. I think that will show it very well. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is
Yes.
what I'm doing from a DPDP compliance perspective. I take care of ingress, address, and egress. In the ingress, we are helping you secure your front door by creating notice management, consent management, DSAR fulfillment, and grievance redressals. All of this comes into governing what is inside your ecosystem, where we do data discovery and inventory creation. DPI is creating audit trails, creating retention and erasure policies, and implementing them, along with creation of ROPA and your org and DPO configuration, so that your DPO can easily manage the expectations of the DP Board of India, right? Finally, from an egress point of view, we have our third-party vendor management system, breach notification, and trust centers, and all the dashboards made available, which you can go ahead and ensure that becomes a single source of truth for all your policies and managements. So we are taking care of the journey of a data element from ingress to address to egress. Wherever your personal data lives and leaves your ecosystem, we make sure that that is covered from a DPDPA standpoint. In fact, I can share this particular image with you guys as a part of the email on the minutes, where you can actually see which section under rule and which section under the act are also compliant by.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That will be great. One last confirmation. The data discovery tool that you are going to, or the model that you are going to introduce in future, will be showing the data map also, right?
Yes.
Great.
Vaibhav, what is this Auth Bridge and Redacto?
Sir, Redacto is us. Authbridge is one of my distribution partners.
Okay.
Would you be sharing these slides by any chance, Vaibhav?
I can share them with the audience.
Yeah.